Have you ever heard of forced revision strategy? Do you revise? Is the question. Most of us understand revision is important, but the question is, are we doing it the right way? There are potential challenges which can happen when we revise. First of all, we have no time to allot because there are a lot of new topics to read. Second thing is, we do revision in a passive manner, wherein we are looking at the books and thinking, okay, I know this, and keep turning the pages. So that's passive reading rather than active. We also do passive recall. So, what do you mean by passive recall? You're looking at the notes or textbook, highlighted points, and kind of revising again and again. This is not an active process of recall, but a passive process of recall. Most of the times, while we are revising, we stick to our comfort zones, topics which we know well, and those. So, which means we re revise the same topics rather than going to new things. This is where forced revision strategy comes handy. So, what is this forced revision strategy, FRS? Let me go through three important steps. First step, based on the exam patterns, you need to understand your preparation and revision should get fine tuned. If you have the NEET exam, the All India Post Graduation exam, you actually have about 300 questions, right, in the paper. If you look at the subject wise weightage, you might get a fair value of how many questions might come in different subjects. So, if you look at that, you'll understand that the minimum number of questions in a subject would be about 5 to 6. So, let's keep 6 is the number of questions which you might get. If you divide the tentative subject wise weightage which is given by 6, you approximately get 3 anatomy questions, 3 physio questions, and 3 biochem questions. Patho micro pharmac is about 3 to 4 questions. You have the third year subjects like PSM ENT, which also has about 4 in PSM, ENT about 2, Ophthal 2. Now, general medicine, surgery, OBG about 4 to 5 questions. You have the specialty subjects about 1 to 2 questions. Now, please understand when I'm talking about this, what I've done here is taken up the total 300 questions, looked at the subject weightage, and looked at the minimum number of questions which can come. So, once you divide by that 6, you get approximately this. Now, this total is the second step, which is nothing but 50 MCQs together. All this 50 MCQs together becomes one BRU. What do you think is this BRU? All the 50 MCQs, if you count through all the subjects, you get about 50 MCQs. This 50 MCQs becomes one basic revision unit, BRU. So that becomes the crucial point in forced revision strategy. What you can do as the third important step in the forced revision strategy is to start with one cycle per day. So every day you can customize your Q banks to take up questions in such a way that you have one question in psychiatry, one in dermat, one in I mean, two in pediatrics, one in radio, one in anesthesia, one in ortho, 5 OBG, 4 surgery, 5 general medicine, 2 ophthal, 2 ENT, 4 PSM, 2 forensic, 2 pharmac, 3 micro, 4 patho, 3 biochem, 3 physio, 3 anat. When you do this, you do a chunk of about 50 questions. Now, by doing this is what we call it as forced revision. Now, you're forcing yourself and kind of getting into all the subjects randomly. And when you take up a question paper, what happens is you don't know which topic the questions can be asked. So, which basically randomizes the chances. Why should you do this, by the way? Basically, by doing this, you're changing the probabilities of revision. You might wonder, what is the importance of this forced revision strategy? The importance is very simple, because if you had studied for 2 hours on a particular subject, you're preparing for one small sect of the whole question paper. Second thing is, you might be spending 2 hours in 1 to 2 topics only, which again means you're preparing for just a couple of questions. But here, when you prepare randomized 50 questions spread over various subjects based on weightage, what happens is you're almost kind of preparing for majority of the questions which can come here and there. And moreover, when you're answering 50 questions, right, you if you multiply it by 4, which is the number of choices you get, so you might invariably read about 100 to 150 topics which are very different and varied. At least single liners you might read up to 100 to 150 topics. So all these things basically changes the probabilities, is what you need to understand. So the forced revision strategy possibly helps you to deal with the possible challenges of revision itself. What are the challenges of revision? No time to allot, passive reading, passive recall, and comfort zone, right? So, forced revision strategy acts as an antidote to these problems. It makes you forcefully allot time and study different topics. It makes you actively read because when you're answering MCQs, you're actually forced to read and learn and understand more actively. You're actively involved. Moreover, since you're answering MCQs and closing up all the books, you have to actively recall rather than looking at the pages and trying to recall. So you do active recall. The most important thing here is since you can have questions coming from different areas and randomized completely, it might take you to zones which you might never even touch in your revision process, thereby getting you off your comfort zone. So harness the power of forced revision strategy, dream high, fly high.